Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to a second episode in the podcast series From the Margins to the Mainstream, highlighting the journey of the informal waste pickers community in Bengaluru, a community which has been sidelined for far too long and forced to live in the dark. Over the years, the city of Bengaluru earned itself the titles of the Silicon Valley of India and the startup capital of India. While the city has witnessed rapid growth, millions today struggle for piped water, having to depend on a horde of privately run tankers that pull water from wells inside and outside the city and deliver it to homes. The economic survey conducted in March 2023 warned that the shortfall in water supply in 2021, as estimated by the Bengaluru Water Supply and Sewerage Board, is 650 million litres per day, which is likely to go up to 1,450 million litres per day by 2031. Bengaluru running out of water in the next decade has been a fear and a debated topic in the Silicon Valley for years, which now seems more like a real possibility. In the next 3 episodes, we are going to be talking about the thematic area of water. First up, we have Ms. Hemalata Patil, State Program Director for the state of Karnataka at WaterAid. Hemalata has led and spearheaded numerous projects to successful completion, ensuring that even the most marginalized communities have access to clean drinking water, decent toilets, and good hygiene.
So, Hima, we had Madhavan, Meenar and Bharat kind of set the context for the Samuhika Shakti project and what we're doing. So, as part of this particular project, can you tell us what is the process that WaterAid follows? How do you finalize geographies? How did you initiate this project on ground?
We got the list of slums with waste picker households, and we got this from one of our collective impact project partner, Hasiru Dala. They have been working with these waste pickers for the past 12-13 years. We shortlisted the number of slums where we would like to take up our intervention. So once we shortlisted the slums, then physical visit was made to all the slums to see the current scenario with respect to water, sanitation and hygiene, to understand the waste pickers community. And once after completing the physical visit, again we shortlisted for our intervention. We shortlisted slums for our intervention. So while shortlisting, we adopted 3 criteria. One is that slums with more number of waste picker households, because WaterAid, when we provide intervention, it is not only for the waste picker, it is for the community. But ultimate aim was to ensure that these waste pickers household should have access to safe water, sanitation and hygiene, not only for the waste pickers, their families, but for the community. The first criteria was slums with more number of waste pickers, and the second criteria we adopted was like there should be a need for water and sanitation intervention. So that was the second criteria we adopted, and the third one was overlapping geographies, because there are other collective impact partners are working in some of the other slums. So we wanted to see that all our effort should go towards these waste picker households. So these are the 3 criteria we followed while shortlisting the slums for our intervention. Once we finalized the intervention slums, then the first activity we took up was to mobilize the community. And for that, we organized a participatory appraisal wherein we mobilized community people and we asked them to draw the boundary of their slum and map all the existing resources available in the slum community. And so after once they map the resources, then we had a discussion what are the priority issues according to them. Basically, this whole process is to assess and understand their issues, community issues, and how it can be resolved with their suggestion and feedback. So after once the process was completed, then we asked them to prioritize water and sanitation issues. Whatever came up as a priority, be it a water or sanitation, accordingly we did a technical assessment in that particular slum, and then we have considered their local wisdom as well, and then planned an intervention. And in this whole process, we ensured participation of community, because ultimately it is the community who has to own the responsibility, take accountability and maintain it.
I mean, working with all these communities in so many different areas, it's a big task. What were some of the challenges that you faced while implementation?
Yeah, we faced a lot of challenges initially. One is that like identifying the waste picker households, having a data with a number of waste picker households in the community. Because like our experience says that like during COVID, some of those waste pickers had gone back to their hometown. So the list what we had received from Hasirudala, there was a variance with the actual ground reality. So for that reason, we had to do a household survey to assess and understand actual number of waste pickers in the community. That was the first thing. And once we got that details, then the set of challenges we faced, and the second one is basically if we are planning to provide water and sanitation infrastructure in the slums, space is a constraint. If we have to provide, ensure quality standards and adequacy norms, it is quite challenging. Initially, it was initially like we faced a lot of challenges to plan an intervention in those communities because need is there, but space is a constraint. But gradually, we are trying to address this issue. And the third thing was like the other challenge what we faced was dynamics within the community. That was a big challenge because yeah, there are so many opinion leaders within the community. If you want to plan any intervention, there are a lot of influence happens. So over the period, we have understood how to address this dynamics and we are moving forward. Apart from that, the other challenges what we faced was when we selected the slums for our intervention, we selected both notified and non-notified slums. The bigger challenge what we faced was in non-notified slums. Though there is a need, but it is very difficult to do any intervention there because one, that land is under litigation and there are takedars. They were not allowing us to do any intervention there because so most of this informal waste because with their meager money, they are getting water, buying water from private vendors, and they don't have a sanitation facility, and they are going out for defecation. So this is another challenge. And the last challenge what we faced was community participation, especially when we started working in the community. So it was a new experience for us working with especially informal waste pickers. We didn't know that routine waste pickers, how their routine looked like. And when we used to organize trainings or workshops, we used to see that there is a low participation from these waste pickers community, especially because their day starts at early in the morning because they go out to collect waste and they leave their house around 4 o'clock and they come back late in the afternoon. So initially it was a challenging thing. Then later we adopted our training module and we planned according to their convenience. So that is how we try to address that issue. So in nutshell, these are the initial challenges we faced.
Like you mentioned that the work that WaterAid does, it's more like a permanent structure that you're creating. So what are your plans for sustainability, not just for the infrastructure that you create, but also for the processes that you set up?
See, sustainability, we focus sustainability aspect right from a planning stage. And we ensure, like I said, we ensure participation of community in all our activities, right from planning, implementation and post-implementation as well. To ensure sustainability, what we have done is that wherever we have created our infrastructure, we have facilitated forming a O&M committee, operation and maintenance committee, and the committee comprises of 10 to 12 members and it has both male and female participation. And for the first and foremost thing what we did was like after facilitating formation of a committee, we oriented them on the roles and responsibilities, and apart from that provided a lot of inputs on other programs and ongoing government programs and other inputs has gone to the committee. And we facilitated in opening an account, O&M account, and it's a joint account wherein like these people, whatever user charges they collect, it will go to that account and they use that money in maintaining the infrastructure. So along with this committee, we have facilitated forming a cadre called WASH Champions. So we have identified active youth, women and men from the community basically who are interested to work towards WASH. who has a leadership qualities and have a good communication skills. And we have provided a lot of inputs and information and knowledge to this cadre, basically on 74th Amendment, on water and sanitation, ongoing programs of government, and we also help them how to write a representation letter. And apart from that, we facilitated interface meeting with the concerned government authorities, especially the service providers. So now gradually they are like gearing up to take up these issues on their own. So this cadre is going to complement to O&M committee to ensure that whatever infrastructure we created, it is not only like the ownership of only the O&M committee, but the entire community should take care of. So that is how that ownership is being created, and yeah, this is what the plan we have to ensure sustainability.
So we've understood the process, we've understood the logic, the entire thought process behind the Samugika Shakti project. Talking about WASH, how do you see access to WASH as being a game changer for this community, especially women? And any anecdotal feedbacks that you want to share with us?
So there are plenty of anecdotes we have. When we intervene in any slum, we ensure that the community has access to safe water, sanitation and hygiene. Of course, there are certain constraints, as I said, like space was a constraint, but whatever possible within the available space, we created this infrastructure. And once we complete the infrastructure, we hand it over to the community. And when we exit from these communities, what we leave behind is the functional infrastructure and the empowered community to take care of it. So when it comes to anecdotes, there are a couple of examples I would like to quote here. There is a lady called Nagaratna in Sumanahalli. So she narrated how access to sanitation and water helped her, because Sumanahalli has many women who are going as waste pickers, and for them, because they initially before intervention they didn't have a functional toilet in the community, and they used to go out for defecation. It was impacting their privacy as well as, of course, their dignity. So WaterAid retrofitted the toilet, and now it is functional, and we made a separate block for male and female. And what she was saying is that now it becomes very, very comfortable for them, because they have to leave their houses at 4 o'clock. Before that, they have to relieve themselves, and earlier they used to go out for defecation, and it was quite challenging for them. And now, because of this functional toilet, what WaterAid has provided it is not only helping save their time, but it is protecting their dignity and safety issue. And because of this, they're spending more time in collecting waste, and it is, of course, adding to the income. And another anecdote I would like to share is about Gangonhalli. Gangonhalli had a water problem issue, because again here majority of women go for waste picking, and again majority of the households did not have a house tap connection. Very few households had a Kaveri connection. And again, the Kaveri water comes once in 2 days, and they used to store water, but that was not sufficient. So we provided a household tap connection using the existing borewell, which was defunct. We made it functional and provided household tap connection. Now water is available, and the community has an entire control that when they want to collect water, what timing they need to switch on the motor, kind of a thing. So this is again helping them save their time, because it is not only saving their time, but it is easing the burden on the women, because most of the times it is women who go and fetch water, and because of that reason they used to miss their work. So this has definitely helped them. One, burden on the women. Second one is of course stress level, and the third one on the income. So there are plenty of examples like this, but these are the two which I thought most appropriate ones.
Thank you, Hemlata, for that wonderful insight. Having gained an understanding of the project process followed and the importance of access to WASH, you, my listeners, would be surprised to know that despite its criticality, 1 in 10 people in India do not have access to a safe source of drinking water, even in this day and age. Today, we reel under the worst water crisis ever. It is necessary to work towards solutions and help mitigate the crisis. While some of us have been fortunate to not have to witness the struggle to access the elixir of life, it is imperative that we understand the struggles from those invisible heroes who have been serving our city, like Shivagami, a resident of Shakambari Nagar who has agreed to give us a glimpse into her life and the struggles that she and her community faced prior to WaterAid's intervention in the locality.
Ma'am, I was born and brought up in Rajeshwari Nagar slum. I live with my husband and 4 children. Earlier, my parents used to also live there working as waste pickers. My mother worked as a maid while also picking waste. My father did not give her any money, so she used to run the household, paid for our education. When she was unable to educate me further, she got me married. After getting married, I lived in Uttarali for 2 years. And when my mother passed away, I moved back to this place. I was responsible for taking care of my younger brother and my sister too. And after getting them married, my husband, 4 kids, and I now reside here.
The first
time you came to Shakambari Nagar, what was the situation there?
Since I was born and raised here, I am quite aware of the situation here. The house was not built from the board side. When I was a small child, I used to live in a hut. One house was big and one house was small. After that, it was difficult to get water, so we just drank from here and there. If you have to get water, you have to pass the Banchankri temple and cross the road a little distance to get there. We filled our buckets and then carried it on our heads to bring it home and use it. For household use, there used to be the Kaveri water pipe near our area that goes towards Kanakpura. The water used to leak behind the pipe and the water would collect there. We used a cloth to filter the water, collect it, and then bring it home to use. Then the houses were small. Whether it was 10 family members or 6, we used to adjust by living and sleeping together all in the same rooms. The men had a lot of bad habits. They would drink and gamble. They even had a fight once and set some houses on fire. Around 12 years ago, there were biometric cards issued from the slum board. They then demolished our homes and then reconstructed them, assigning one to each family. It is the same size for everyone, but the water scarcity issue had not changed. It is still a big challenge. There are only 6 taps for 416 houses. Only 6 taps for drinking water. They gave us 2 hours of access to water in the morning and 2 hours in the evening every alternate day. If we get water today, we won't get any till the day after tomorrow. And in that short amount of time, everyone needs to fill their buckets with the amount of drinking water that they need. We are 15 of us in my house, so whether I need 6 buckets or 10, I have to manage during that time slot. Our last option is the sump. There are 2 of them from which we have to connect the pipes to our house, and the sump is a kilometer from my house. It is a kilometer, not a meter, and the pipe should be connected through this distance and then secured with a tube. After connecting a pipe, there is a wiring system that needs to go through the same process. After connecting all of this, we have to switch it on to get access to water. It sometimes gets disconnected. The passing of a vehicle is enough to disrupt it. When a car goes over it, the pipe gets damaged and then needs to be replaced. It isn't easy at all. Our kids need to take a day off from school for this. Their schools have a weekly fee and I have to hold off on that. I have 4 children, so I make them take turns to miss school for a week each month. First week, my eldest daughter is off, then my second one, and then so on. They ensure the supply of water at home. If a pipe gets disconnected, then I go and try to find out where the fault is and then fix it. There have been times when the kids have tried to fix the wire, gotten electrocuted, and then fallen into the sump itself. Because of that, I go and check the wires while my kids help out at home. On the same day, we do our household chores. I also take a day off from work. I don't have a problem because I earn a monthly salary as a volunteer. But so many of them are daily wage workers. They will only get paid if they go to work. they had to forego that day's pay to collect water. In some homes, imagine they spend their monthly salary to buy the motor. You actually need 5 rolls of pipe, but we made do with 2 to 3.5 rolls. 1 roll of pipe is 1600 rupees, ma'am. Motors start from 3500 rupees and can go up to 5000 or 6000 for the branded ones. Even after spending about 15,000 rupees for all this, the difficulty that we go through to collect water is unexplainable. Only those who go through it can understand it. I explained all this in 5 minutes, but I wait an entire day to get it done.
Because of these water issues, have there been fights among the people?
With only 6 staffs for 416 homes, there are fights every day. That's why I am wary of not going to the pipes on consecutive days. If I have 2 buckets, I will try to manage with it. Everyone is afraid to get into a fight, so we refrain from going every day. We think, let's not get into a fight. Let's make do with whatever we have. Let's go when we've run out of water.
In your community, do all the ladies work or do only men do the work?
Ma'am, the men have learned the jobs that need to be done, like construction work, painting, but they don't work. They're lazy. In 70% to 85% of the cases, the women are the ones who work. They work as maids, they do business, they do waste picking, they also work in wedding halls, cleaning it. Whatever the job, women are mostly the ones doing it. The men don't work, and even if they do, they use the money for their personal expenses and never for household expenses. In our area, suppose there are 400 families. Out of 400 families, only 50 families will have men who will say that they will run their families. They want to earn their respect. The other men are happy to live off of what the woman earns and brings home. They don't really care. In addition, there are some men who sell things that their wives earn and then use that money to fuel their drinking habits.
There has been a water problem in addition to all the other problems in the community. How have the authorities helped your community?
Nothing as yet, ma'am. Remember the 6 staffs I told you about? We collect 1000 rupees from each house and use it to hire a bulldozer to dig a path from the neighboring village to ours. This path enables us to tap into their water line, and this was also done by us. By collecting 1000 rupees from each house, some people might try to take credit for this. And if some people did take money from the corporators, we have no idea. But all of us paid 1000 rupees each and had the pipes installed. Although the sump had been installed by the slum board, they have not made any arrangements for water supply. The underground water is not accessible. Even if we dig for about 2000 feet, we're not going to find any water. They have installed a pump in Saraki, put a motor there, and the water comes from there. But those pipes are broken because of how far Saraki is from us. No one fixes it. We have to fix it ourselves. When the wires get burnt, they collect 50 to 100 rupees from each of us and then they'll fix it. But it gets broken again and we won't have water for 10 to 15 days. After 15 days, we collect the money and then fix it ourselves. If this doesn't work either, we then hire water tankers. Tankers cost 800 to 1000 rupees depending on the company. 2 to 3 lorries will come there. One charges 800 while another may charge 1000 rupees. I need 4 barrels of water. There are 24 houses. Say we need about 250 barrels of water. Now I have to select 24 houses. I ask them to bring their water drums down to get them filled. I then call the tanker and all those drums should be filled and then the water needs to be pumped up to their homes inside where they can use it for dishwashing. I again have to take a day off, ma'am. I tell my boss once a week that I have to collect water, so I won't be coming into work that day. She mocks me about my water problems. but only I know what it takes to be able to have access to water.
Correct. Now, do the men help with this chore or are the ladies tasked with this too?
The ladies are the ones who have to take the initiative and do the work. The men don't help. Maybe 1 in every 10 houses there is a man who thinks that my wife is working hard outside all day and then struggles for water too. I must help her. For example, my building has 24 houses. There is one man in the whole building who I don't want to name. He's the only one who helps his wife. He works, his wife works, and he wants to help her. But in my own home, my husband does not help me. He says, it's your job to get the water, I can't help you. In my community, every building has a leader. But in times of need, no one comes to help. I have a leader in my building. The adjacent building has another. If there is a problem, the two should come together and talk to all of us and make it right, but they don't.
I know you are self sufficient. Why don't you take the lead? Say, let us take care of ourselves. Why do you need them?
They won't allow it, ma'am. Like you said, to do the work, they need us women. They need us to take care of the house. They need us to earn. Imagine there's a meeting of 10 people or 20 people. Men want men to lead such meetings. And they don't allow us to speak. Only if they allowed us to speak could we tell them all of our opinions.
You have the chance today. Do you want to say something?
I am saying everything I need to say today, but I am afraid there will be repercussions once I go home. I have spoken openly about my husband too, that he doesn't work. If he sees this tomorrow, he is going to confront me about it.
So, what did you think of WaterAid when we first came to your community?
Our community is infamous for the lack of water. If someone tells us that they'll fix this problem, we are happy to believe them. Because all we need is water. But no one had helped us. And we've been fooled by so many people. The first things politicians promise in our area is that they will fix the water problem. But no one was able to do it. But then WaterAid came to us. Mr. Tippaswamy first spoke to me. I told him everything that I just told you now. And he said that he can fix it with a 3-year project. I didn't believe him, saying that there have been so many people who have promised this in the past. You'll just take a few photos and leave. And he said, if you can help me a little, I will try my best. It's not a day or two of work. We have a 3-year project, so we will make sure to fix this problem for you. He asked us to have faith in him. He asked us to have patience, but I didn't believe him. They then did mapping and then area survey. And then he started working little by little. He spoke to everyone and asked them what their challenges have been. Why should he only believe me? He understood the main priorities. He then started working, and then I had a little faith that things would improve. I said, let's try something. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There was no faith. So many people have come and gone. We thought WaterAid was just the same. All they wanted were a few photos and then they leave. I work in a hospital and it is real work. But some organizations just come to collect proof of work being done but do not do any real work. That's what all of us expected. No one expected WaterAid to do any real work. We had no faith initially.
Is there anyone who was absolutely against us working in your community?
There are definitely people like that. If you've noticed, the women are responsible for everything. We have to collect water and then earn a living. That's why all the women have banded together to support WaterAid. The men are still angry that we sided with WaterAid and don't believe that we can solve this issue.
I'm certain that it has helped the more fortunate people who have access to water appreciate it much more. It certainly makes me feel more grateful. The various gender roles imposed by society, more often than not, hinder participation of women in decision-making processes. Now that we have one side of the story, in the next episode, we will try to uncover the challenges faced during implementation, the experiences of people who are entrusted with the Herculean task of building everything from scratch, from trust to relations to infrastructure. Then we will hear about the experience from the community when, after a long struggle, they finally had access to water, which is not a privilege but a right. Stay tuned in and let us take it from the margins to the mainstream.